Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. So today is National Strawberry Picking Day. I don't see how they decide to declare this the national day for it, since around here strawberries won't be in season for at least another month.
And down in Florida, they've been ready for probably 2 months. So maybe they're just trying to take an average.
Yeah, well, they're leaving half the country out of it. So anyway, who we got in the side chat? We've got Amiga Nuts and Dave, Faye, Shadow Kitty. How are you all doing today? So, my back's rather stiff.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Well, yesterday I actually got like 10 hours sleep, which was amazing. Of course, then to make up for it, then last night I can hardly sleep at all, probably only 2 hours, but to actually feel rested for a change is really a strange sensation for me. So it's kind of like having finally gotten my battery charged, and it'll probably be good for a couple of days before I run down again and be back to being in zombie mode for another month.
Yeah. I don't even get to go out to a doctor's appointment anymore. They're making them all over the phone and shit.
Yeah, my brother's a mental health worker, and he's been having to do all of his client stuff over the phone, which for some people doesn't work out very well.
Yeah, I mean, I had a therapy appointment this morning. That works out fine. It actually, in a way, feels even more intimate than being in the same room together. Because we're both on video and on Zoom and stuff, and it's really not a lot different than being in there. But my medical doctor, how are we going to do a medical appointment over the phone?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get the paperwork worked out here to get some medical coverage at my new place here, so I can go and see a doctor just to get my prescriptions refilled.
Are you going to qualify for the Minnesota care?
Yeah, I'm on a partial disability, so yeah, I'll qualify for that.
Hooray! You're going to love it. It's such a good plan.
Well, I know. I had lived in Minnesota. It was September 2009 that I went to New York. So, yeah, 10 years ago, and that was part of the thing. Is I know that Minnesota's pretty good for a lot of things, and that's also why I'm trying to convince Lavender Lady that she should move here, because I think that she would do a lot better here too. So I see Faye's talking that she's getting a new kitten. Going to have a new furry companion.
I just got on the chat, so we're just trying to catch up here. Hi, Dave.
What's Dave talking about? Cam girls. What did I miss higher up? Hey, nerdy.
See, I'm mad because they told me it was National Nose Picking Day, and so I'd been practicing, and now I'm embarrassed.
I thought you only pick your nose when you go to a plastic surgeon.
Well, I guess that's true. I had a near tragic accident yesterday.
Oh,
I am just so fucking lucky. I was cooking pasta, and so I had like 3-4 quarts of boiling water going. Cook the pasta, it's all done. I go to drain it into the colander in the sink, and what I usually do is I set it on the edge of the counter by the sink, and then switch my hand position to do the dump. And in the middle of switching my hand position, I realized that the kettle was off center in my direction, and it fell out of my grip. And this gallon's worth of boiling water fell, and I jumped fast enough
oh, yeah.
that it just barely hit my left leg or my right leg.
Oh,
Some of it spilled into my shoe, and so I had to get my shoe off like really fast.
yeah.
But it could have been really, really bad.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that much hot water, you could have gotten a pretty severe scalding.
Yeah, that would have been pretty bad. So I'm just thinking my lucky stars. The area it did hit is not very nice. I have problems with my right leg anyways since my triple bypass. They harvested veins from my leg and
Oh,
apparently took too much because the return flow is not adequate, and so my leg tends to swell up. They've done all the testing they can, and they've decided it's not because I have some thrombophlebitis or anything like that. They're assigning it to venal inadequacy, which I'm thinking maybe you should take one out of the other leg and put it back into the right leg and even it out a little bit. But what the fuck? You live with what you live with.
yeah. I hope you got some kind of burn cream or some aloe or something to keep applying to it.
I jumped in the shower and dosed it very heavy with ice or cold water.
Yeah, well, if you
after.
get it quick, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it
Because
sure
then,
does.
if you can dissipate the heat before it gets down too many layers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bob.
The Bubba Man. Yeah.
We got Roma. Somebody wants to hop in here yet?
My aching back.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're not on camera right now. I'm so tired. I look like shit so bad. I'm laying back here. My hair's a mess.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on these days. Well, since people aren't going out every day, a lot of people are just kind of letting it go.
Yeah. I think it's my turn to start heading towards the trail of slovenly, and not feel bad at all.
Yeah, Bub's saying I sound a bit off. Nothing but the allergies. Yeah, my throat's a little gravelly.
Where's a medical leech when you need him? Aren't they all at the insurance company?
I thought those were more legal leeches. The problem is most of the people who are approving the stuff for insurance companies don't understand anything about medicine.
No, they're certainly ignorant.
Oh, so yeah, I'm getting some work done on getting things organized here. Got the pieces cut for another section of the shelving units I got to put together.
Still doing the move-in stuff, huh?
Yeah, I just doing it little sections at a time. I'm not good at being organized in much of anything, and
Bye-bye, Dave.
I just sleep. Oh, Dave, you gotta go already? Okay, we'll catch you later. This next one's more for Sammy than anything else. I'm building a section under the window, so it's gonna basically make a much wider window ledge for him to be up there. And I'm gonna include a part above it for bringing the curtain rod out, so that he'll be able to get behind the curtain and go up there in sun in the morning before I open up the curtains.
Fuck, Cat's got it easy. There was a real interesting show on PBS. They did on Nova. They did a whole show on cats, like they did on dogs some time back.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at all their breeding and their genetic history and all that kind of good stuff. I learned a surprising amount.
Okay, Doorknob Head, that is completely phoning it in. You can do better. Hey, Hans.
Hey, Doorknob. How you doing, honey?
Yeah. So, I guess I don't really have a whole lot to say today.
Huh. Why would that be? You're usually a veritable gab fest.
Yeah, part of it's, just kind of too much the same every day, since I don't get to go out as much.
Mm-hmm.
I can only talk about my cat so much.
I haven't heard you talk about the place you're living now. How's the neighborhood? And
Oh,
now that you've been there a while.
Yeah, no, it's all quite nice here. It's definitely a better building. The apartment's only like 40 square feet bigger than the old one, but it's laid out so much better. It seems a lot bigger.
That's good. How about where you used to live? Did they get nailed by those floods? Those broken dams?
Now, I heard a little bit about that last night, but actually I didn't even catch which city that was by.
Yeah, I didn't either. I can't help you.
Yeah, it probably, wasn't, because I was in the Upper Peninsula, so they usually don't even consider that part of Michigan. But yeah, I don't really know what area that's affecting. But I'm also not too surprised by it. Just that the whole state is a mess. The infrastructure is literally falling apart. So it was inevitable for something like that to happen, because they have not been doing proper maintenance on anything for at least the last 20 years.
Edenville and Sanford dams.
Hey, Bob. How are you doing?
Hey. I'm doing all right. Just kind of lounging until my doctor calls at 2:30.
More test results coming back?
I actually don't remember what this one's for. Seems like a fact worth knowing.
Seems like what?
A fact worth knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she'll remind me when she's old in an hour.
Yeah, I often run into that.
Yeah, I gotta actually bother myself to schedule a blood test before June 5th when I have to go in for a CT scan. Presumably they're checking my lungs for something.
Well, yeah, you had a rather nasty problem there before.
Yeah, still no idea what's causing it.
Yeah, Bob, I think I'm getting a bit of an echo from you when I'm talking.
I don't have anything else open. Let me maybe turn my volume down a little bit, see if that helps.
Yeah, I don't know if you're on a headset or how far your mic is from your speakers.
I mean, my mic's built into the computer, so it should just be.
I think that made it a bit better. I don't know if anyone else is hearing it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's better now, it's.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think part of it is they want to check and see if I got a false negative on my coronavirus test. Wouldn't be surprised. That is still a problem they're having. So.
Yeah. I had heard that, there's a couple of different tests and that one of them, the false negatives were coming kind of high.
Yeah, I saw. I think there were CT scan results for different respiratory conditions versus what a set of healthy lungs looks like. Healthy lungs are nice and clear, no issues. But then you've got the flu, which is more fuzzy, I guess is a way to put it. I don't really do doctor speak.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets to coronavirus and the lungs look like they're I don't know. It looks white and foggy and not at all healthy.
Yeah, well, I heard that was one of the problems long term was even the people who recovered from it wound up having scar tissue in the lungs. Mm-hmm. So it still restricted some breathing capacity.
Yeah. And I've already got restricted breathing capacity because of asthma, so that really kind of pisses me off about the people saying I'm not going to wear a mask. It inconveniences me slightly.
Well, it's tyranny.
Oh yeah, it's equivalent to Hitler, right? At least that's what some of these people are saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and here, even stores that are, have it posted that it's a policy nobody can enter without a mask, it still seems like a third of the people in there aren't wearing them. So the stores aren't even enforcing the policies, but...
Did you see that video online from Costco?
Oh, no. That Karen that was getting into a fight with the greeter and then the manager?
No. That was some private store in California. And that was our dear heart Shirley Lewis from Flat Earth. I'm talking about the redneck who got kicked out of Costco because he wouldn't wear a mask. And they just plain said, "You're not welcome here, get out." And they took his stuff, wouldn't let him buy it. And I said, down the road. Yay.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see that, but I can also understand, why some of the employees, don't really want to enforce it, because this is somebody that's clearly looking for a confrontation already. And there was that incident a week or two ago about security guard at a Dollar Tree that the woman got upset and came back with her husband, who shot the guy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. That just, totally disproportional reaction people are having.
It's tyranny. The
Yeah.
constitutional rights to contaminate every one of you fuckers.
Yeah, the thing is, they don't seem to get this thing that they're shouting that being asked to wear a mask and the lockdown things are tyranny. But at the same time, these are the exact same people who are saying that we shouldn't question the president. We should just blindly follow a leader who clearly wants to be a dictator.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I don't see how you get those two thoughts in the same brain.
In surveys they take all over the world, there's a definite leaning these days towards people wanting to nationalize and to have authoritarian governments.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're bitching about their rights being infringed.
Well, that's what I say. I don't think they understand what that means. That they think at this point their rights, or what they view as their rights, what's important to them, aren't being infringed. But they only take a stroke of a pen with a prick like Trump to screw you right over, and he'll do it. And they don't get that. They think they're immune. Well,
because they're white. That's a huge part of the difference.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but every regime that comes in, the first camp they raid is their own. When it comes to purges and all that stuff, it's always that way. And so these people are going to be the first to be dealt with if it becomes as bad as Germany in the 30s.
Yeah, I was this was years ago when I was still in college, and I was taking a history of the Soviet Union class, and one of the first things the Soviets did after the regime change was they went after the revolutionaries, because they were already revolutionaries once. What's to prevent them from doing it again? And you don't want to be removed from power once you get it.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Yep.
Well, because they recognize that these people knew how to get weapons and were already organized.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then,
so of course that's going to be the biggest threat.
These idiot Tea Party Second Amendment brainless gormless. Let's see, what is that? Cockwaddles?
That was cockwomble.
Womble. Yeah, that's it. So good God, do you guys really think with your little AR-15s, whether you have it on set an automatic or not, are going to take on the United States military and be successful? Come on, you dickheads.
Yeah.
Put down the toys and comply. They've got
because if the National Guard thinks they're a serious problem, they're going to be sending in tanks and half-tracks with machine guns.
Fuck that. Just send in the Air Force. It's over with.
Yeah.
So they do to everybody else.
Well, no, I mean, just look how well things went for the people in the Waco compound.
Let's see how good you dickheads do in Idaho against a couple of predators and a couple of A-10s, okay? You guys will be gone in 30 seconds. Cut it out.
Yeah.
By the time they hear that bomb drop, they're already dead.
Uh-huh. Oh, boy. America.
Hey, Stool. Yeah,
Hello.
what's with the yogurt references? I was seeing that on Twitter yesterday.
I wanted some yogurt, and every time I go to the shop on my once a day allowed outside legally thingamajig, I keep forgetting to buy it, and I remembered today, so I've got some yogurt, and I'm so looking forward to it. It is
Yeah,
a
I
big...
actually thought you'd watched Spaceballs.
Oh, I've got to watch that again sometime soon.
Fantastic movie, I love it.
I think I've actually got that on one of those old-fashioned DVD things.
I've
I'd be more impressed if you said VHS.
I might have, actually. I know. I did have the Star Wars trilogy on VHS in a nice special box that had Darth Vader's head sort of, what do you call it? Not embossed, but it was a 3D thingamajig. Anywho,
I actually still have a working VHS player.
This is good.
Because when I was living in Michigan, the cable TV system there, they didn't even have the DVRs available. So it was the only way I could record anything. And I'll be damned if I'm going to wait around for TV shows to start. If I can't watch them on my schedule, I'm just not going to bother to watch TV at all.
No, people don't tend to do that these days.
Yeah, I thought it was so weird that, they didn't even have the things, didn't even have the recorders available to rent. You'd think they'd be making money off of that.
I'd just woken up. I fell asleep. For a large part of the afternoon. So I'm a little bit not quite on this planet yet.
Yeah, I was looking at what Amiga Nuts is saying in the side chat, and actually I would say that Trump is evil, but just because I don't really like the idea of good and evil. They are just such vague constructs. So I tend to deal with morality as framing it as being noble or selfish motives of, does it just help the one person, or does it, do something for other people? And I've got no indication that Trump has ever done anything for anyone other than himself or his immediate family.
This is very true, and even saying that, it is mostly for himself. I don't think he'd, bat an eyelid at throwing members of his own family under the bus.
No, when it comes to it, I'm sure he wouldn't.
He's one sick puppy, he really is.
Yeah, I still don't understand how he got into office, but...
Well, we know technically how it happened, but that's history now.
Well, I mean, I don't understand that a third of the population of this country actually would vote for him.
It's exactly the same. I'm not going to bore you, but it's exactly the same thing that happened with Brexit over here.
Yeah.
Shenanigans behind the scenes.
Yep.
I mean, in your country, because of that silly electoral college business, you just got to convince enough idiots in certain states, haven't you? And
yeah,
their votes count more than others. So yeah,
definitely there's a problem with the system.
Well, there is when it can be manipulated like that, and it was so manipulated.
Yeah, well, and they've been doing it for decades, and it just gets a bit worse with each election cycle.
Yep. And I fear that we are copying you guys now. we're not as bad, but I think the current lot are taking pages from your book, if you know what I mean. It's all very, very depressing and bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been around on that one enough times, so.
But you see, you guys have got a bit of a chance. It always comes back to this, doesn't it? You guys have got a chance because he, at best, will get another 4 years. After that, he has to go, according to the rules. Whereas we can't fix what we've done. You know, we've fucked it up big style. Oops, I swore.
What do you
Sorry.
mean you can't fix what you've done?
With the Brexit thing, you know, that's.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that would be another colossal thing to reverse it now.
Oh,
I
it's not
thought you
going
were
to
referring
happen.
just to having Boris the idiot arrive
Oh, God. Asshole.
around.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they can get a different party to be the majority next time around, but there's still a lot of stuff that can't be undone.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the idiots who voted to leave are still clueless as to why they did it, and they don't actually understand how bad this really is, and it is really, really bad. And what date are we on now? The 20th. So we've got about 2 weeks until, after which, after the 1st of June, we are not allowed to ask the EU for an extension to this withdrawal period. And that means that on 1st of January next year, we are totally, completely out, which means 6 months. Within 6 months, we're supposed to sort out everything. And it's not possible. It simply is not possible. Which means...
Oh, you're just giving up too soon, that's all.
No, it is physically impossible to do, but that's what our government actually wants. And very few people actually get this. That's what they want. They want to crash out with no deals or agreements with the EU whatsoever, which means all kinds of hell. It really does.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's going to do to your whole economy and all your.
Well, let's just put it this way, and I'm sorry, I don't bring it back to this Brexit. I do apologise because it's boring for you guys, but the date has come and gone a couple of times when we were supposed to actually leave.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. And in the run-up to those dates, the preparations that the government was making, because they knew how bad it was going to be, would scare the pants off you. Stockpiling huge numbers of huge quantities of food, medicine, a certain motorway or highway that goes to Dover, the port. Miles and miles and miles of it were not converted, but were sort of cordoned off to make a temporary lorry park so that all the vehicles crossing over the channel, because there would be huge backlogs. It was terrifying, really bad. And people who were on certain medications were really worried, and still are, because we're an island and we import a lot of our stuff, including medicines, some of which has to be kept refrigerated through its journey and all this kind of stuff. And, such a mess. I'll stop now. I'm sorry.
No, it's obviously a major concern, and yeah, I don't see how they're going to sort it out.
Well, I mean, what I think is interesting is, wasn't the Scottish referendum like 3 months before the Brexit vote?
I think. Oh God.
I mean, it was at least within the last year prior to the Brexit vote.
I think.
And I remember one of the arguments that the people who wanted Scotland to remain a member of the Union, their argument was that you don't just leave a union. Mm-hmm. And then they immediately turn around and vote to leave the EU.
Well, to be fair, even though the Brexit referendum thing was a UK thing, when you break it down, most of Scotland voted to remain. and the Scottish people are very, very pissed off with. It's mostly England who did this. It's not Scotland and Wales. The Scottish people are very pissed off with England because we're basically dragging them out of the EU.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and Ireland's not very happy about it either. That border between Ireland and Northern Ireland is going to be a nightmare.
That's so bad, so bad. God, that is worse than you can even imagine. But yeah, having physical borders between Northern Ireland and Ireland is really bad. Let's just say the bad stuff stopped about 20 years ago. You know, boom, boom, all that stuff.
They're asking for the troubles all over again.
Yeah, because if I can't remember what it was, but Northern Ireland and Ireland both each had a referendum about whether they should, during the Good Friday Agreement, you know, the peace process, they had a referendum each. Do we need borders? They all said, no, we do not want borders anymore. So you're pissing them off.
Yeah.
It's just such a mess. That's why I often
and all based on a lie by the
yeah.
conservative right wings, and people have bought it and are cutting their throats over it.
Exactly, it's
Yeah.
Everything that they were told, and this is mostly by Farage, you know, UKIP and Brexit Party and what have you.
Yep.
It's all lies, absolute lies.
Well, and I'm sure that there was some, you know, manipulating of the social media. Same thing that happened with our election.
Yeah, it was exactly.
Yeah, foreign powers getting involved to try and get people to think that there were more people backing it.
Exactly the same thing happened with your election. That's why I mentioned the states. Those people in those states were bombarded with personal, let's call them adverts, actual lies. And that's what happened here. Cambridge Analytica, blah, blah, blah. Steve Bannon, he was involved. And in the 10 days before the actual vote, I think, 7 million people were targeted, which doesn't sound a lot, but these were people who were undecided.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'd harvested all the Facebook data and they could work out what, you know, who thought what. They targeted 7 million people with lies, absolute lies, shocking lies. And it swayed them through fear, it swayed them to vote leave. And that's not me.
Well, fear is a powerful motivator.
Yeah, that's not me just like making shit up. That's a proven fact that that's what they did. We've got the information and what have you.
Okay.
And the head man of Cambridge Analytica was in. There was an undercover report on Channel 4 News, and they won an award for this report, undercover thing, and they were speaking to him, pretending that they wanted to use his services. And he explained what they do. They get people to change their minds based on fear. If they weren't afraid before, they will be, and you can get them to do what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a lot easier to get people motivated by emotional things than logical things.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't so serious, you would laugh at this because the lies are so silly.
Mm-hmm.
And they would shock you. They really would. When one of the official Leave campaign, whose Twitter account is still up there somewhere, they made this expensive video showing what hospitals would be like if we voted Leave, and you know, before and after. And the after, guess what? You didn't see so many of people who weren't white. That's how, you know, that's how sick these people were.
Yeah. Yeah, and the race thing is a big seller too. It shouldn't be.
That's what it boils down for a lot of people. And, you know, this is kind of funny, except it's not. But a lot of these people voted simply because there are people here who are not white. And they're going to be in for a shock after we leave, because that's not going to change.
Yeah, well, and it's the same thing here. That's, you know, Trump's whole thing about, you know, build the wall against Mexico because they don't want more brown people coming in. And it's like, you know, hardly any of them came in that way in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the first things that puzzled me about the referendum thingamajig. It was very obvious a lot of people, it was about the brown people. And if you think about it for about 5 seconds, you know, most of the people coming from Europe are not brown people. The brown people come from elsewhere, so it's not going to make any difference.
Well, I know over there, you know, even at the time of the Brexit vote, one of the big concerns was, you know, all the immigrants from Turkey.
Yeah, which was a lie. That's another thing that they did famously.
Yeah.
Again, with the ads, they kept threatening, scaring people that Turkey was going to join. Oh, sorry, not was it Turkey? Yeah, Turkey was going to join the EU, which it's not. That's never going to happen. Is it Turkey? Damn it, my brain's not working.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there was a lot of talk about whether or not Turkey could join the EU. It pretty much seemed like they couldn't.
No,
but at the same time, there were also, you know, because of the civil war going on there were a lot of people fleeing Turkey into Europe.
May I interrupt for a question?
Yeah.
Is Hungary in the EU?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Huh.
I would think so.
It is. Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to get voted out with their little stunt yesterday.
Oh, what did they do yesterday? Another bad thing.
Oh yeah, they pretty much eliminated transgender people from the face of the earth.
Oh dear.
No, I hadn't heard about that either.
Yeah, they made a law against
Shit.
all those kind of people. Yeah.
Well done.
I
wouldn't expect them to stick around long then.
What's it?
I wouldn't expect Hungary to stick around in the EU long then.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know somebody on Twitter who is transgender in Hungary. So, yeah, I guess if nothing else, that certainly is going to screw up all of her medical coverage.
Right. The first thing that just jumped up at me was back in April, they were in trouble because of the way they've handled the virus, Hungary. So what the EU would do regarding the matter you've just mentioned, I guess they would say, right, we're suspending your voting rights. You have no more. You have no say in the matter. I'm pretty sure that if they've banned or made illegal this, then the EU won't just sit by. They'll say, sort it out, stop it, or you get no say in anything whatsoever, no voting. There'll be an EU law somewhere that will cover it.
Well, I hope somebody kicks their ass somehow, because it sure is goddamn fucking immoral and criminal of them to do such a thing, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I realize that I have a vested interest, but
It doesn't.
Yeah, well, it's clear discrimination regardless.
Yeah, they can't get away with that.
Really? Oh, God.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's enough people in this country who would do the same thing if they thought they could get away with it.
Absolutely there are.
Oh, it's Viktor Orban, isn't it? Oh, God, he's a piece of... Oh, yeah.
It's so much fun living as the most hated group of people on Earth. Let me tell you guys. It's exciting every day.
Yeah, we don't like him. Orban. He's a yeah.
No, I was talking about me as a
Oh, no,
transgender.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of multitasking and reading. I felt
Yeah.
a bit bad because I didn't know about this.
Yeah, I have to be
Oh, okay.
honest that with what's been just going on with me, I really haven't seen any news for the last couple of days. So just a few little fragments that, popped up on my feed.
Hmm.
So I'm a little out of touch here about what's current events. I did pull up a map about what you're talking about, the thing in Michigan.
Yeah, that's nowhere near where you were living.
Yeah, so yeah, Edenville is like right in the middle of the mitten.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's we were in the Upper Peninsula, so it's like I say, the
Well,
Upper Peninsula really is more like northeastern Wisconsin.
yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll find some way to make it Whitmer's fault. I mean, she was responsible for those dams that were built in 1925.
Well, like I say, the problem is they haven't been maintained for 20 years. So I'm not surprised that, they were developing cracks and getting weak.
Wisconsin had that happen a few years back. One of the dams around the Dells area that created Lake Delton let go and emptied the whole lake within the span of it was like 15 minutes. The whole lake just disappeared, and all these houses got sucked along with it, and they rebuilt the dam because the property values were so high around Lake Delton that they all stood there and said, "No, you're going to make that lake. You're going to recreate that lake, fix that dam, replace it with something modern," and they did.
Yeah,
So
well,
Lake
like you
Delton's
say, it's
back.
because people who have lake homes have money, so that's what runs the government.
Yep. And I understand that. I was certainly a citizen and taxpayer of Wisconsin at the time, and I mean I didn't feel bad about it. These people spent their hard-earned money, and bought these homes, and they've been paying a premium on taxes for getting to live where they live. Yes, of course they should rebuild the dam and bring back that environment for them. I mean, no new dams is one thing, but when lives and everything are built up around something that exists.
So I've now done my research. They're still voting on this in Hungary. Apparently, it's not actually a law. Is that
Oh,
right? That's what I've just read. It's this.
Okay, so maybe
Orban,
there's still a chance for it to be blocked.
yeah, the Orban dude, who's a real piece of shit. He declared himself basically ruler forever because of the virus. So that should scare you. And it says that they're still discussing it in their parliament, so it's got to be voted on. But if it does happen, it will be a violation of EU human rights laws.
well, hopefully there's cooler heads that will prevail.
Mm-hmm. He's a nasty character, yeah.
But I
don't know what their process is down there about who gets to vote on those kind of things.
It does sound a little bit familiar. He's declared himself ruler forever because of the virus, and he's now picking on marginalized groups. So,
yeah, that's always a bad road.
Mm-hmm.
On a bit of a lighter topic, I'm looking at my Amazon cart right now, and I've got a top hat and a plague doctor mask just sitting in my cart.
A top hat, awesome.
Yeah, and I'm debating if
do it.
I want to spend the money to actually purchase it, and I'm kind of leaning towards yes.
I would go yes, definitely for the top hat. Yeah.
I would do it. I've always
Okay,
wanted one of
not sure why you
those.
picked out the top hat, but yeah, you'd have to have that on in your videos.
Well, it's part of the look with the mask.
Yeah, it's like there's a whole steampunk thing with it. I don't
Oh,
really
okay,
care
it's
so much for the
steampunk, right?
steampunk, but I mean, when you mix the mask with the top hat, it actually looks pretty cool.
I don't know, Bob. There's you might do good in steampunk. There's a lot of really hot women who are involved with it. Maybe you could get a date with somebody and
Well,
fall
I
in
know
love with
there are a
some
lot
really
of really attractive
kinky
women in steampunk.
steampunky goth woman.
I helped a friend out with a convention they ran for a few years, and they had a few steampunk booths, and these people are really dedicated to their craft. I mean, they only use high quality leather, and everything else they use is really high quality, and the effort they put into their characters while they're doing their steampunk thing is equal to the way they craft their.
Oh yeah, I know some people who were heavy into the SCA stuff before steampunk became popular.
And Dorab makes a good point. He says, "Buy it before all the money is useless."
Yeah, I was about to point that one out.
Oh dear, I've just looked at your YouTube channel where this stream lives. Strawberry picking day.
Yep.
Oh, that's so funny.
Was complaining about that coming in because up here strawberries aren't even in season until the end of next month.
God, I was talking about this morning as well. Blimey. We've got a problem with fruit pickers. We haven't got
and they're
any.
having a huge problem with it here ever since Trump's been in office because they're so heavy on trying to keep immigrants out of the country that we don't have enough migrant farm workers, and 20 to 30% of all the crops have been rotting in the fields.
Yep, same thing.
Yeah, just because the farmers can't get enough people who are willing to live in those conditions to pick them. So it's like, the immigrant workers are not stealing jobs from Americans. They're doing critical jobs that no American is willing to do for what they're willing to pay.
Exactly the same thing here. We've got farmers crying out for people.
And if you were paying these field workers minimum wage to be picking this stuff, then nobody would be able to afford groceries.
No, that's not true either. Groceries would go up, but it would not be unaffordable. That's one of the pieces of bullshit that they spread to keep these people underpaid. Yes, it would go up, but no, it would not make it unaffordable. Americans are just cheap fucks. Very selfish people. And they have to be, because they're paid so fucking badly.
Yeah, the whole system's messed up, but, and that's why with so much of the crops rotting in the fields, a lot of it got used for animal feed, so the price of meat actually was driven down. But now with the COVID thing, the slaughterhouses aren't working, so they're destroying the animals because they can't even get them processed into meat.
Well, I live in a soybean and feed corn growing area, and the farmers around here have had 2 bad years from weather, global climate change to be specific, and the year before that of Trump playing games with the Chinese. Things are hurting bad in this rural area. Fortunately, there's still enough people who are doing okay that we're able to have various fundraisers and take care of the farmers around here, because everything around here is private, family farms. These are not corporate farms around here. There might be a chicken ranch or two, but for the most part, it's all just mom and dad.
I Oh God, I talked about this morning, I think, but I've just sent a thing in Twitter. I've just posted something on Twitter with your name on it, purple. That
Yeah.
This is an initiative that was announced yesterday during the COVID briefing. It's called Pick for Britain. That's the website, and they basically want people who are out of work because of the virus, people who are furloughed, etc., to go out and pick for Britain, which isn't going to happen. And if you can see the thing that I just sent you, down at the bottom in the disclaimer, it says basically, oh, by the way, we don't necessarily disagree with slave labour, which is scary.
Wow. Well, why don't you drop a link to that in the side chat so everybody can see that?
Oh God, why didn't I think of that? I'm such a pillock. I told you I hadn't woken up properly.
Yeah, that's
Yogurt,
okay.
what's your handle on Twitter?
Celery vase or vase, whatever. Hang on, multitasking. I have to post it in private chat because I can't do it in YouTube.
I get it.
Yeah, this was quite a astonishing, really. During the press briefing, this guy called George Eustace announced this initiative, Pick for Britain, and he announced the website, which didn't even work. Eventually, it did. And disclaimer right at the bottom, which says, for the avoidance of doubt, Pick for Britain has no responsibility and or liability whatsoever for any third party's obligations under the Modern Slavery Act of 2015.
Okay, there. I dropped the link into the side chat there.
That's not
so.
good.
And Jenny, that'll come up under his Twitter thing. So if you go to that, then you should be able to just click on his icon to follow him.
See, I would go on it, except I don't have it, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
The link.
Well, that's what I mean. If you follow the link I just dropped in the side chat here, that would bring up his thing, so you can click on his icon from that.
The thing with the pick, that's funny. Is that a real thing? Strawberry picking day.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Is that an official real thing?
Yeah. Well, sort of. They call it a national day, but can't find any, anything as far as anyone having made it official.
It's funny that happened the day after this announcement over here. Well, funny to me anyway. They the farmer people of this happened a few weeks ago. Somebody said, okay, we've got all these tens of thousands of fruit, not just fruit, picking jobs, whatever.
Yeah.
It's potatoes, all that kind of stuff that British people could do. And nobody applied. Those that did were told, we don't want you, British people. Because
okay, I wonder why they were telling them they didn't want them. I could certainly see they wouldn't get a lot of applicants.
People who said they applied, they've said they were told no. And I can understand why, because in this country, and I've only just learned this, but the farmers are a little bit naughty because what they pay these people is shockingly low. Probably illegally so, because we have kind of rules. And what they do to these migrants, they say, okay, we will pay you so much per day, but you have to give us back a large chunk of that because you have to live in that caravan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So obviously British people can't do that, can they? Because
yeah, that's the same thing with the migrant farm workers here, that basically they're living in semi-trailers.
Yeah.
So that they can, take them from state to state for the different harvest weeks.
I think these people don't get moved around. They will be at one farm, but they are told whether you like it or not, that's where you're living, and you're going to pay to live there.
Yep.
Yeah. So that obviously.
Yeah, it's the sharecropping system.
Right.
That's
So I mean,
the old folk song about "I owe my soul to the company store."
a British farmer is not going to pay what we call the national living wage, kind of minimum wage thing.
Yep.
They're not going to pay it when he can get migrants for peanuts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing here, but yeah.
And if you're British, your chances are you're living somewhere anyway, so you're not going to be told you've got to pay to live in a caravan.
Yep. Yeah, it's the same system here, and yeah, that's the citizens here aren't going to take living in those conditions.
No, and so nobody's picking this stuff. So we're going to have a fun sort of diet in the summer.
Yeah.
Our diets are going to change hugely after January 1st anyway, because we import like 50% of our food. That's going to be fun. But the guy who announced this initiative yesterday, he's a farmer and he owns a big farm. So obviously he's got nobody doing the work for him. And he's a Brexity person. He was in UKIP. So on the one hand, they want to get rid of the immigrants. On the other hand, shit, nobody will pick our potatoes.
Yep.
That's why it's kind of funny, but it isn't, because...
Well, and then here, it's like they can't pick the crops, and I guess yesterday Trump was making a big deal about another program to bail out the farmers.
Oh, God. Again.
So I only caught a little snippet of that press conference, so I'm not sure what the deal was.
Are they not pissed off with him? Farmers.
No, and that's one of the things is like the California farmers overwhelmingly voted for Trump. And then they complain that they can't get the workers, to do the work because, he's made the ICE crack down on immigrants to the point that even people who are here legally are being imprisoned.
Oh, yeah, we've got our own version of caravans now. Trump's caravan thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that thing that disappeared after a week.
Yeah, well, you had, excuse me, you had 3 bouts of invasions, didn't you? Which is, oh God, it's so amusing in the wrong way. But we've got our own version now because Nigel Farage, has been tootling off down to the beach somewhere down southeast to watch us being invaded by migrants crossing the channel in their boats. And so all his fans and people of that ilk are now going crazy because we're being invaded. It's ridiculous. It really is.
Well, Islam is going to take over all of UK pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the no-go zones. That's a real thing, right?
God, I've had arguments with Americans about this, and they absolutely believe that.
Well, of course they do. They think they're taking over the United States too, and they're like what 2% of the population.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I often say to them, already today I've been knifed to death 3 times, but couldn't be treated because of the death panels in the hospital. And this was in a no-go zone, and that was all before lunch. They just believe such nonsense.
What's a no-go zone?
It's a completely made-up thing that certain bad people have said that exist in the UK and in other places in Europe as well. Basically, it's all Muslims and nobody else is allowed in. The police aren't allowed in, strictly no-go zone, and it's absolute nonsense, of course.
The police aren't allowed in.
The police are too scared to go in. That's
okay.
how it goes, yeah.
The last time I had an argument with someone about the no-go zone nonsense, I asked them to cite some credible source, and they had not a fucking thing. It's like everybody knows. These no-go zones are real. People can't go there. White people get killed for going there. It's like,
yeah, this is it. And they'll often say about London. And so you'll get people who live in London say, okay, where are they? I've never seen them.
yeah.
It's just so silly. But there are certain kind of famous people who have a high following on Twitter and what have you, who peddle this nonsense.
Couldn't they make good use of that situation though, and say take the old people that really are just consuming resources and send them to the no-go zone and
we've got that one sorted. We're killing them in the care homes now.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. I guess that's a little more convenient.
That's what we're doing. That's how we fucked, not me personally, but that's how we fucked this virus up. Another little lie that the this government has been spreading. The other day, Matt Hancock, who is a cock, the health secretary, said we were on this from the get-go. We were always looking at care homes and protecting them. And then today, I think it was in the press briefing, another scientist person said, nope, complete nonsense. We didn't. We just ignored it. And so the care home situation over here is absolutely horrendous. The deaths, because what they were doing, people in hospital who were elderly were being kicked out into a care home without being tested and spreading the virus. So the number of care home deaths in this country is absolutely shocking.
I thought they were building the 5G towers to spread it.
Oh God. Yeah. Somebody else got
I still want somebody to explain that one to me about how you're supposed to transmit a virus from a tower.
Another person was arrested just a few days ago for setting fire to 5G towers.
Yeah. Well, there was one around here. I'm not sure which state it was, but there was a school that was showing a cancer cluster. So, of course, everybody was upset about these kids having cancer, and they blamed it on this 5G Sprint tower that was near the school, which turned out to be a 4G tower that had been operating there for I don't know how many years. So basically just because they didn't want to deal with the publicity from it, Sprint agreed to move the tower, which of course did nothing. However, the soil testing showed a high level of several carcinogens in the soil that was leaching into the groundwater and hence the drinking water. So it's like, it got blamed on this cell phone tower, and no one is bothering to address the problem that the reason the kids are getting cancer is because the drinking water is toxic.
Well, of course, and besides, 5G doesn't give you cancer; it turns you transgender.
Well, damn, I'm gonna go climb a tower.
So you're fucked in Hungary.
I just didn't know that we had 5G towers 50, 60 years ago when I was exposed.
Yeah.
The 5G travels back in time.
Well, that
yeah. Now, see, that explains it. Yeah.
It uses tachyons on. Interesting.
Oh, fucking A, cool. I love that word.
Particles that travel so fast they go backward in time because that's.
Wow, that's almost hard to get your head around. That's
Yeah, there's something to that, Doran.
Doorknob says, I wonder if you grow up with a name cock or wiener, do you grow up to be a cock or a wiener?
I mean, technically the pronunciation is Coke, but I'll allow it.
You know, I have known
Yeah.
at least a half a dozen people with that last name spelling, and every one of them pronounces it different.
Yeah, I've also heard it pronounced Koch.
Yep. Yep.
There was a lieutenant in my squadron in the Air Force, and her last name was. Well, she pronounced it Koch, but.
I do wonder about some of those, you know, that obviously these kids probably got bullied just for their names growing up. So how much of their attitude has to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Not that it justifies it, but, you know.
Oh God, my radio is on in the background, and I'm gonna have to turn it off because it's so depressing. They're talking about today's press briefing and the lies. Oh dear.
It's good nerdy. People must think I can go faster than the speed of light then because they keep calling me backwards.
Nerdy tachyon.
Yep.
And who says they're tacky? I mean, isn't that kind of judgmental? It's just a particle, for Christ's sake.
If they were tacky, wouldn't they stick to the antenna and not go anywhere?
Well, it is their name, tachyon, as opposed to tacky off.
Yep.
5G is magic. It can do anything.
Tasteful on, tasteful off.
Yeah, so far the only thing 5G has done noticeably is made it so they'll no longer support the cell phone that I've had for the last couple of years. So they're forcing me to buy a new one, not that they would even give me so much as a coupon for a new one or anything.
I just got a new phone, and I couldn't afford one that would be 5G. So,
well, no, it's not even to have one that would be. No, it's not even to have one that would be 5G. The problem is the one I had, you know, was more like a 3G phone. So now the network's just not going to support that at all.
Oh, how quaint.
I don't quite understand how that works because
if you're going to just first move into 4G, you're going to notice a huge fucking difference.
I don't want to.
Well,
I really don't even want to have a fucking smartphone, but I can't get anything else anymore.
Yes, you can. There's dumb phones.
Yeah, you can still get basic stuff.
Well, yeah, it's a matter of finding one that the cheap carrier will support.
Well, yeah, that may be an issue.
Yeah, so you know, but it's like I don't need the internet in my pocket. I can do it when I'm home. There's nothing I do that's that urgent that it can't wait till I get home.
Well, I need the internet in my pocket because you just never know when you're going to want some porn and a good
Don't say it.
You know,
don't say it.
Session.
Yeah, see, I've got a good enough imagination. I can write my own porn.
Oh, I'm too visual for that.
Yeah, and again, that's something I'm really not nearly as visual as most people are. You know, for me, I do a lot of things more, you know, it's auditory and tactile, which one of the things that used to scare the hell out of my fiance was, you know, that I would be working with power tools under very dim light, because even that, it's like I was doing a lot of it by feeling the vibration of the saw. That's, how I knew when something was wrong, or by hearing the pitch of the motor change.
I know there's something wrong when the blood starts to spatter in my eyes.
Well, considering the amount of it I've done, I've, had very few incidents. I mean, right up until I lost the ends of these fingers, I had gone about 35 years that, I had never needed stitches from a power tool.
I never got stitches in all the years that I worked on cars. Never had an injury bad enough. Well, no, let me change it. Never had an injury bad enough that I went and had treated. I had a couple that I really, really should have gone in, but I didn't.
Well, and that was for me.
A big ass scar and shit, so
yeah.
I don't care.
It's like I was pretty good at first aid, so I just cleaned it up and bandaged it. I didn't need to go to the doctor for most of that stuff.
You can stop bleeding with a shop rag and duct tape,
Well, and especially after one of the emergency room doctors taught me the trick that you could use super glue, that it was okay.
Oh yeah.
And he was telling me that not only did the super glue work when there wasn't enough skin to stitch back over it, but that the solvent in it was actually a very effective antibiotic.
Oh, that part I hadn't heard. I was surprised when my favorite plastic surgeon was there, and I was working on his car, and I whip out my at that time it was a Milwaukee brand power screwdriver, one of the first generations, and he points and says, "Hey, that's what we use in the OR." Exact same tool, except ours are sterile.
Yep.
Oh wow, how about that?
Stainless steel blades, though, those are important in the ER.
Well, all their screws were Phillips, so I can't imagine they had much trouble getting the proper bits. Yeah. What time is it here?
Yep. Nerdy says there's no injury you can't fix with super glue and some duct tape.
No, that's not true, Nerdy. I watched a guy cut off a finger once. That was a little bit beyond the...
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm missing 3 of them. I'm missing above the top knuckle now.
You know what's worse about cutting off the last section of your finger? Having it taken off in a fan belt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been wanting to find somebody who's got a 3D scanner and printer, so that they could scan my other hand and flip the image and print out some prosthetic fingertips for me. Not that they would do anything, but I just think it would be hilarious when I shake somebody's hand and they fall off. Can you imagine the reactions I'd get?
I would love to see that. Oh, God, I would love to see that. Be sure to have a phone running. Get a film of that.
Yeah, I'd have to have them, filled with some kind of blood packets or something so that when they break off, there'd be the blood coming out.
Oh, sorry that I was bitten by a zombie last night.
Well, my doctor should be calling any minute now, so I'm gonna
Okay. All
at
right,
all.
Bob. Yeah, I hope you get good news on the
Bob,
test.
Bob, come on, stay on and put the call on the live on the air.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you could always stay in here and just mute your microphone while you're taking the call and get back to us. But it's up to you.
I'll probably come back in. You're going to be going for a while, right?
Probably. I'm
Alright.
sure for at least another half an hour.
I'm gonna be bombing out in a few minutes here. I'm really tired.
Oh, okay.
Depending on how long the call is, I might be back.
Okay.
All right. See you later.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Bob.
Oh. Sorry, I was just looking at the side chat. Oh, that went off on a weird string, but about getting body parts chopped off and supergluing them back together.
Well, as long as you keep the build file, you can always have more printed.
Yep. Remember when it was a big thing that everybody was talking about being prepared for the zombie apocalypse? Yeah, not many people prepared for the pandemic.
Yeah.
Although I was wondering about that the other day too. It's like all these doomsday preppers. You know, how many of them have actually gone to their shelters and how many of them really don't want to deal with that isolation? You know, when they're actually faced with it, you know, have any of them actually made use of all the preparations they did?
No, of course not. They just like to talk about tyranny.
Yeah. It's all terrorism. That's why it's got to be the cell towers or something man-made. You know, there's got to be a conspiracy behind it. It can't just be that, yeah, this is just nature trying to adapt to us. That whenever there is an abundant food supply, something will evolve to make use of it. And in this case, yeah, humans are pretty abundant. So something's going to evolve that's going to make use of human hosts. You know, and it's all the antibiotics and that we've been able to keep the bacteria at bay. And that's the other part of it is that, you know, people still think that if they get this COVID, you know, why can't they just go into a doctor and get some antibiotics and it'll be over? And they don't understand that viruses don't work that way. That really, there's not a hell of a lot you can do to kill a virus that won't kill the host.
Well, easier a virus than a prion, however you want to pronounce it.
A prion?
Yeah, you can't even kill those fuckers with fire.
Okay, I got him mute for a minute here.
Yes, Doorknob had I did see that. Because it was too accurate, the software. She wasn't prepared to lie, to fudge the numbers. We've got a similar problem here with the tracking app because our wonderful government decided not to use the same software that is used everywhere else in the world, in Europe, that it wanted to make its own. which is not a good thing because they paid one of their friends £250 million to design this app, and they're trialing it on the Isle of Wight, but not enough people will download it because because the data that it collects, it's just not in safe hands. Instead of being anonymous and whatever, it ends up in the government's hands. So everybody said, no, fuck that.
And
No.
you're referring to tracking programs like to follow,
Yeah,
trace and
yeah,
virus
track and
stuff, right?
trace app thing for the virus.
Yep.
But the one that our government wanted to use, all the experts said, this is not a good thing. Don't use it.
Okay. Yeah, Sloth Girl just got back from her once a week shopping here. And so, major hit, she actually found a bottle of isopropyl alcohol. I was having a problem because I turned it all into hand sanitizer, and now I needed to clean out the trackball from my computer, and I didn't. Yeah. I just, I needed like a 1/4 ounce of alcohol to clean out the computer equipment, and I couldn't get it for the last month.
Isn't it supposed to be the legs that are the nicest to eat? If you're not reading side chat, that just sounded random. I think our legs are supposed to taste nice. I think they taste like chicken.
Yeah, Sloth Girl's saying that a bunch of the stuff here is reopened now.
Hmm.
2 weeks later, lobby closed.
Yep. Yeah, and basically I'm figuring that they're in such a hurry to reopen that we'll have maybe a couple of weeks to a month, and then the rate of cases will be jumped up so high that they're going to have to lock everything down twice as hard for another month just to get us back to where we are today.
We're in a spell of quite nice hot weather at the moment, so of course everybody is tootling off to the beach and what have you.
Yeah. Oh.
As they do.
Okay, it's not good to do that because this chair will tip backwards. Okay. Yeah, we're getting a very nice wave here too. That it was in the 70s yesterday and today. So, yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to get out. And, if they want to get out and walk around the park, as long as they keep a distance, that's not a bad thing.
Take your kids to the park. Let them go play in the grass.
Yep.
Yeah, well, our lot have decided that schools are going to go.
Okay, thank you.
Lock it or leave it open.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. I'll take care of it.
They've decided that schools are going to go back, but staggered, so different ages before others. And the ones that are going back to school first, according to this wonderful master plan, will be the really young kids, like 5 years old. Yeah, and so the teachers are going, no, you can't social distance 5-year-olds. They don't get it.
Yeah, Also, staggering them by age group is going to make that really hard on any parents that have kids in more than one grade.
Mm-hmm. It's an absolute cock-up what they're doing here.
Yeah, that sounds like a very unrealistic plan. And I am glad that here the governor of Minnesota at least had already declared that we're just going to write off the end of the school year and we're not going to bother bringing them back till September.
Yeah, that's what the sensible people are saying here. But for some bizarre reason, our government is hell-bent on sending kids back to school. The unions are up in arms. That's just not a good thing. Really weird.
Yeah, when you mention it, I haven't heard anything about that, about how the teachers union here is reacting to it.
Some of the government people who are very for this idea, they are, of course, involved in what we call private schools, which means you pay to go there because we don't pay for our education. So they're very pro this idea because they want the money. Whereas Oxford University, I think it is, maybe Cambridge, they've just said, that's it, everything's online until next year. We're not chancing it. But of course, you've got all these idiots who are saying, well, kids don't catch it. They're safe. Kids can't catch this thing.
Yeah, I don't know where they get that from. From what I've read, not only can kids catch it, but it can be leading to much more serious problems in kids than it does in adults.
Mm-hmm.
Especially you were talking about like the 5-year-olds, and it's like their immune systems aren't fully developed yet.
They can catch it, but they might not actually suffer from the usual symptoms that we're all aware of. They can certainly spread it. I mean, that should be obvious because they're humans. So you stick, plus we have big class sizes, so you stick like whatever it is, 30 or 45-year-olds together, and they then go home and give it to their parents and the grandparents and what have you.
Yeah.
But they do seem to get different symptoms, quite nasty ones.
I also don't know how your school years run there, but for ours, writing it off to the end of the year wasn't that big a thing because they usually only go through like the first week of June. So they would only have like another 3 weeks here at this point.
I forget when they close, but probably end of August or September, beginning of September, something like that. So it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, but you still got a couple more months than we would here.
But one of the arguments is, and it's kind of valid, but for the older kids who are, they're up to it, they're at a more important stage and what have you. Oh, is it? Second week in July. Oh, Dave just mentioned. Ah, that's correct, yeah. It's a long time since I was at school. So they're going to be behind with the syllabus and what have you, and they're going to have to catch up.
Yeah, well, that's certainly going to be a problem, but keeping them alive, I think, should be the priority.
That's it. Second week in July is when they stop, and then they go back to school the second week in September. That's right. That's 8 weeks, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I guess they've got a bit of a longer break here because here they stop after the first week of June, and then they would go back right after Labor Day, which is like the first Monday in September or something like that. Oh, which is still, it's old programming for me, but my anxiety cycle on everything, I completely bottom out in the first week of September. and have come to realize that that's because I get severe anxiety over the new school year starting, even though I've been out of school for 30 years now. You know, that's like stuff that gets programmed into you as a kid, you still respond to long after it's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's still a lot of idiots who are saying kids can't catch it, and
Yeah,
I don't know why they do this.
They've identified, something as a new syndrome because there are a set of symptoms that they're seeing that are only occurring in children that adults aren't getting with the COVID.
Yeah, they whenever it was, a couple of months ago, can't remember, but the doctors and nurses started noticing kids were getting these symptoms, and they kind of christened it COVID toe because the feet would go a funny colour and they'd get all these blisters and what have you. And the thing that you mentioned, that would be Kawasaki Syndrome, I do believe.
Yeah.
Which isn't a new thing.
Well, the COVID toe, we're also seeing in adults.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It does some really, really horrible things to your body.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about myself, because I already have a problem with having poor circulation in the extremities. So, anything that's going to be affected because I'm not getting enough blood to my fingers and toes is something I'm likely to get.
This is why I said before they should do like they do with cigarette packets and put a photo somewhere that people see, look, this is what happens to you when you catch this thing. Because a lot of people still seem to think it's trivial, that it's just the flu, and
yeah,
it's very, very nasty.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's part of why we're going to get hit real hard, is because Minnesota is doing a fair job of it. I'm not going to even say they're doing a good job because they're relaxing things way too soon. But we're right next to Wisconsin, which is like complete nightmare with the way they've handled it. They've already opened things up, and I was seeing on the news pictures of people partying in the bars, and the bars just being packed for as many people as they could get in there.
Yeah, over here the police have in my town as well have been repeatedly called out to like the same house, same property where people are having big parties, and they've had to arrest people and things because they keep doing it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, that in Wisconsin, the state Supreme Court said that the governor's plan for reopening slowly was unconstitutional.
Would you please? That is not the state Supreme Court. That is the Republican Party dictatorial board.
Yeah. Hey, Bob.
Okay.
Hello.
I'm just going to have to rewrite that constitution of yours for you because it's...
Well, that's the state Wisconsin Constitution, not the federal one in this case.
That would be a really interesting intellectual exercise to see someone from UK or other well-known democracies to take on.
I could knock one out that sounded bad. I could get it written up in an afternoon.
I mean, there's a lot of really good things about a constitution, but there's a lot of really bad things that really need to be brought into the 21st century.
So, yeah. Bob, what's the news from your doctor?
I was mostly just checking in. She ordered my new CPAP equipment for me, so that's one less thing I have to do. And at some point, the scheduler for the VA is going to call me about blood draw that I have to have done in tandem with my CT scan, which I was reminded was for, checking my small bowel. You remember I had that obstruction in it a few months ago.
Bob, I need to interrupt. Listen, I'm going to take off, you guys.
Okay.
I'm
literally
just about to fall asleep here.
All right. Okay,
well,
well,
Jenny.
thanks for coming in. We'll see you later.
I'm so glad I could be part of it again. Perp.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that you finally have a device now that's working for you.
Yeah, neato. Later, all. Bye, chat.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, so. All right. Yeah, Bub, I hope that helps. I hope with the CPAP you're able to get some better sleep once you get used to it.
Well, I mean, I've had the CPAP machine for a while. It's just the equipment needs to be replaced.
Oh, okay. That's not a new thing for you.
Nope. I've had it for a little over a year now.
Oh.
39 branches of McDonald's reopened today for the first time over here.
Oh, well, around here, McDonald's has had the drive-thrus open, but the dining rooms have been closed.
As I understand it, the whole thing has been closed. I think they closed pretty early on in the game, which is, as did KFC, which is kind of cool. You wouldn't expect that from those people, but the photos on Twitter, as I said, because it's a really sunny day, everyone's heading to McDonald's and the queues.
Well, that was pretty much
down the road, like hundreds and hundreds of cars all
Yeah.
along the road queuing up to just go and get a McDonald's.
That was pretty much the first step here, was that all of the restaurants wound up getting closed, that they were only doing drive-through and delivery.
I think
See, I'm actually really glad that local breweries where I live found a way to. I mean, they had to close their tap rooms where people could congregate and drink, but they came up with a pickup and delivery system, which pretty awesome. Meaning, I didn't have to go without beer.
Yep.
So thrilled about that.
Well, the necessities. I did find it humorous that even with all the stuff that was closed, that Minnesota somehow declared that liquor stores were critical retail. So all the liquor stores were open.
I mean, it could be worse. Governor DeSantis down in Florida decided that wrestling was an essential business. Why, I may never know.
Yeah, probably because he's invested in it, would be my guess.
It's entirely possible.
I think that before our government said, okay, everything needs to shut, I think, if I remember correctly, McDonald's and KFC they did it before that even, which you wouldn't expect from such big organizations. So they did something right. But everything else doesn't really, I've no idea what it's like in town, but where I am, the corner shop, which is like a minute away from me, is stayed open. A little further walk takes you to the shop where you can get alcohol. All the essential little shops are still open. No big hardship.
Yeah, well, pretty much any place that sold food was, given a wave on it. In some cases, I think it was taken a little too far, but and the big push to reopen, they're all concerned about the economy and the businesses, and it's like, yeah, well, then how come all these plans were bailing out the big corporations and the mom and pop stores weren't eligible for most of them?
Because the mom and pop stores don't own the politicians.
Yeah, they don't have a lobby group, so yeah, let's give billions of dollars in bailouts to the big corporations and just let the small businesses go bankrupt.
Well, I mean, you're going to prioritize the people that feed you, so.
Yeah. And it's another part of the Trump thing that I could never understand was how many people who owned small businesses voted for him. But, and Trump took most of the rural areas because for some reason, most of these people believed he was somehow going to make businesses open factories in small towns all across the country.
Mm.
Yeah.
A
Well,
lot
I
of
mean,
the-
desperation's a hell of a drug, man.
a lot of those people fell for the nonsense that Trump is a successful businessman. I think they
Yeah.
only knew him from The Apprentice. They had no idea what he actually is.
Yeah.
And even now they don't believe you, do they? There's decades and decades.
Yeah, how many failures he's had.
Evidence that's out there in the public domain, court records, all sorts. And they still don't believe it. Because he's annoying the libs. Whatever.
Fake news, man. It's fake
Oh, yeah.
news.
Fake news.
Yeah, well, did you see now he's turned on Fox News?
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, because Fox News is finally bothering themselves to properly report on hydrochloroquine. Is that what it's pronounced?
Well, because
they're
Fox News finally
saying, "Oh dear God, don't take this. You
Yeah.
will
Die.
You will die."
Well, Fox News finally got concerned that they could be faced with lawsuits for supporting him.
Yeah.
Is what it came down to. It's like, yeah, if we tell people to do what he's saying, somebody may sue us for their death.
That was a fun clip where that guy on Fox News, just after Trump said, yeah, I'm taking this shit, which he isn't, of course. But after Trump said it, and the guy on Fox News, don't take this, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So he went on one of his rants. Fox isn't what it used to be. Bring back Roger. I miss Roger Ailes, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was a good guy. But he's done this before. He's gone off on a rant with Fox News, and once it's quieting down, they go back to kissing his arse, of course. But the alternative is to Fox News is a hell of a lot worse. OAN, One America Network. Good grief.
Yeah, I've seen that he's been coming up with them, and
they are. Somebody described it as Fox News on meth. It's fucking weird, really bad.
I'm unfamiliar with that one.
Imagine how untruthful and how many lies Fox News tells, and then multiply it by 1,000. That's OAN.
So InfoWars given a big.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're basically going after the demographic who thinks Fox News is too liberal.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. Who the hell can think Fox is liberal?
Thing is, though, when Trump
I'm sure you get down in the deep south, you'll find them.
Oh, yeah. When Trump does one of these rants about Fox News on Twitter, and then you'll see all his fans say, well, they all agree with him, so they all say, watch OAN, watch OAN. Fox News is too lefty.
Yeah, they think that Fox News is, like defecting from the Republican Party now, so they're looking for someone else.
There was a bit, they did a report, I use that term loosely, on OAN about the virus. And it was every conspiracy theory you can imagine. So Bill Gates, Soros, all the usual.
Okay, I gotta step away from the mic for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very scary thing, OAN, and they're allowed to be present at his press briefing things, and so of course they ask the most ridiculous questions you can imagine.
I believe it. I mean, you got all these fucking uber right-wing bullshit, quote-unquote, news agencies. I don't understand how anyone takes them seriously. I mean, like, even when I was a Republican, I realized that I needed to stop listening to Glenn Beck because I was becoming paranoid. Like, I literally was beginning to think people were coming to get me. So
Yeah,
I'm like, you know what? I'm obviously detaching from reality. I need to step back.
it's what it's all about. It's all about fear and paranoia. They're coming to get you. All this nonsense.
Yeah, and the level of projection is obscene, because people like Glenn Beck will turn around and be like, the Democrats, they just want to use fear to control you. And it's
Yeah.
like, have you not listened to you? Do you tune out when you speak? And you're talking, and just instead of hearing your own words, you hear this low hum.
It's a big problem down south in your country because it's all they watch, and they don't get to see any real, legitimate news programs. And it's like a slow brainwashing. They start to believe it, and it's like an addiction to them. And so when these, I'm not saying everybody in the south, obviously, but when they then go and look at a real news channel, of course, to them it's fake news. They live in their own little world.
Yeah, where the facts don't matter and everyone's talking out their ass.
Luckily, they didn't last very long over here.
Yeah?
No,
I mean, Jesus Christ.
several reasons they had to fuck off. One reason was because nobody watched it. I mean, why would a British person watch Fox News? I think they were pulling in about 2,000 viewers per day or something ridiculous.
I think Fox News might get 2,000 viewers per day in a 5 square mile block in my city alone in the state of Ohio.
I can't imagine who these 2,000 people in the UK would be who would watch Fox News. But
doesn't Fox regularly shit on the British?
Well, they got it, but they stopped. I think it was 2018. They packed up and went away, partly because nobody watched it. One reason they got in a lot of trouble because you can't just broadcast shit in this country, especially political shit. And I think it was either during the general election or the referendum, they were doing their usual shit. What do we call it? I can't remember, but they were just bigging up one side and lying about the other. So they got in a lot of trouble for that because that's a big no-no over here. And also there was something about 21st Century Fox, who owns Fox News, and a business thing. So they had to get rid of Fox News in this country.
Yeah, well, over there at least they're still holding people who call themselves news to some kind of standard.
Yeah, there are rules and regulations, and if you can get, as a broadcaster, you can get into a hell of a lot of trouble if you say the wrong thing or whatever.
Yeah, around here they've pretty much abandoned all that, and anything about fair and balanced reporting is out the window.
Yeah, the regulatory body is called Ofcom, or FCOM, and what happens is if you be it TV, radio, or I think the internet as well, if you see something that's like, whoa, you shouldn't be saying that, people will complain to Ofcom. If there's enough complaints, they investigate it, and they will judge either yes or no, bad or good, whatever.
Well, that's what the Federal Communications Commission here is supposed to do, but getting them to actually ever take any action is, Amiga Nuts had a good point here that Fox News actually argued in court that they're not a news organization, but an entertainment network.
Yeah, and in other countries where they have Fox News, I think Australia maybe, or Canada, it's actually listed with the entertainment channels rather than the proper news channels, because it's not real.
Yep. and this is what I was saying, that ever since the 1980s, the media here has been being deregulated more and more, to the point that there's basically no regulations left on what they can report and say on the air. And a big problem here is that it's gotten so messed up that people here can't tell the difference between a news report and entertainment and an advertisement. You know, just so much of the population here can't distinguish the difference. You know, and of course the news agencies have done that quite intentionally. It certainly helps their revenue if people get confused about what's an advertisement and what's a news report, because then the advertisers are willing to pay more.
Yeah, the best documentary about this is called Outfoxed. It's about 10 or 15 years old, so it's not a Trump thing, and it goes into explaining how Fox News kind of came about and all the tricks that they use to dress up their bullshit.
I've heard of that one. I should get around to watching it.
It's pretty good because it predates all the Trump nonsense, so it's not just,
Yeah. Well, like I said, here a lot of the deregulation started when Reagan was president. You know, it's kind of progressed from there.
Yeah. This is Outfoxed. I don't think you can just kind of watch it. I think it's still something you've got to actually buy unless you find it by other means.
Oh, I was hoping maybe it was on Netflix or something like that.
I saw it somewhere. I can't remember where. I don't know. I didn't pay for it, but it's quite fun because when the program was made, the documentary, this was kind of, the internet hadn't really taken off in a big way, so they recorded lots of Fox News onto DVDs maybe, and then they had a group of people, a few hundred, who would watch these DVDs as if it was live TV, and they would keep notes about what they were seeing. And it was kind of the first time that people thought, whoa, hang on a minute, Fox News isn't like this by accident. They're up to shenanigans here. And they had interviews with people who'd worked for Fox News, reporters. They had the guy on who who came up with the graphics for, here's something newsworthy and important kind of thing, when in fact it's not. It's just a stupid opinion. All fascinating stuff.
Yeah, that's what Doorknob had said there too, about opinions versus facts and claims versus facts. And
yeah,
that the news agency used to be very clear about that, about stating up front what was an opinion piece and what was reporting that they actually had some evidence behind.
Yeah. And Fox News, we used to Trump saying it, but Fox News came up with the many people are saying, and then followed by a lie. They started that one a very long time ago.
Yeah, and you have to be aware when they're using vague things like that it's just because it's something that they don't want to be pinned down on.
Because it's bullshit.
Yep. Oh. Okay, well, I think I'm going to wind it down here. We've been about 2 hours.
Yeah, I got to get a shower and go pick up my beer order.
Okay, Bob, I a couple of days ago you posted another one of your poetry cringe things.
Yeah, those are terrible, aren't they?
I don't know. For being a teenager at the time, I really can't say they're that bad. I've seen worse in published books.
That's fair. Yeah,
So-
I'm going to be working on another one of those today.
Okay, yeah, that's. I was wondering if you had anything that you think you're going to be posting soon.
I mean, I've got hundreds of poems I wrote when I was a teenager, just waiting. It's all it is a matter of picking one and doing the quick 2-minute
Yeah.
video.
Well, you managed to hold on to them. I don't have any of mine from that era.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure why I held on to them, but I'm kind of glad I did for this little project of mine.
Yeah. I have a copy of the manuscript for my first novel, but it's on disc written on a Commodore 64, and I don't know anything that can read them now.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to get going and then probably start drinking immediately.
Yeah, I usually try to hold off until the sun goes down, but I get you.
I mean, the sun's going down later now, and I have the next 3 days off,
Oh, okay.
not including today.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna day drink.
Oh,
Yeah, well, and you work nights anyway, so.
No, I'm back on. I'm back on second
it's
shift.
still early for
Oh,
you.
okay.
What time is it?
Yeah, it's 2:00 in the afternoon here.
Oh, good grief.
It's 3 in the afternoon for me. So
It's almost tomorrow here.
Yeah, no, but that's part of it, that I need to wind this down while I still have business hours to make some phone calls. So, okay, and I'll be back tomorrow at midnight. So whoever wants to come for that. And then Friday at 4:00 Central Time, I'll be co-hosting on Black Sofa's channel along with Stool, and we usually have Scientist Mel in there. So if you go to my page, you'll see a chat thing for that, but it's really just there to redirect you to Black Sofas on Friday. So that won't actually be a live broadcast on my channel. You'll have to follow the link in the description over to Black Sofas. Okay, so with that, thanks everybody for coming. Yeah, Spooky kind of came in by the end there, so we didn't really get as much from him.
He follows me around everywhere.
I've seen that about him being your official stalker.
He worries me. He really does.
Okay, so for now, bye everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye.
yeah.